Today I'm going to show you how to make Mio's hat. This is the yarn I'm using. It's Caron Simply Soft in this nice purple and pink color. This is a number 4 weight yarn. I think it calls for a, 5mm hook. I usually use a 5.5mm hook for this when I'm regular crocheting. Today I'm going to use a 6mm double-ended hook. For this technique, you always want to use a size bigger than what you would normally use. Make sure you make a swatch to see if you like the fabric. So the pattern calls for us to chain 50. So I'm going to make a slip knot here and go ahead and do that. So chain 50. Alter this number if you don't want your hat to be quite as deep. All right, so now we're going to start our first row. I'm working into the back bump. So in the second chain from the hook, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then stop. Go to the next chain, insert your hook, pull up a loop, and stop. So some of you may recognize this as Tunisian crochet, and that's exactly what it is. So I'm going to go ahead and lift up a loop in every chain. All right, so what you want to do at this point is count. Make sure you should have the same number of loops on your hook as you had chains, so in this case 50, and I've got 50 there. All right, so this is where it differs from regular Tunisian crochet, and I've got the working yarn out left there, so I'm going to squish my stitches up to the right and turn my hook. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and grab my pink yarn, or my color B, just hold it over the end of the hook and pull it through one loop. And now you've joined your new color on. Okay, we're going to yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, over and over and over and again until we get all of the stitches off of our hook. When you get to the end here, you'll want to take your working yarn of your color A and sort of hold it, and that'll stop that last loop from pulling out too big. It'll help you with your gauge. All right, now we're done this row. We're going to insert our hook from right to left behind one bar of the row below. Again, this is just like the Tunisian simple stitch. You're going to go all the way to the end in the same manner. Now on the very last stitch, you might want to do it a little differently. You can just go under that last bar, but I find you get a better edging if you go under these sort of two, it's almost like a chain stitch on the top, these two of the color B. I find it's a nicer edging. It can be tricky to find those, so do what is easiest for you when you're making your first hat. So we've got 50 stitches on our hook. We're going to push them to the other end. Maybe? There we go. We're going to push them to the other end, and we're going to turn our hook. Now I like to keep my color A forward of me and the color B towards me, and that way when I turn my hook, they don't get tangled together. All right, we're going to work off these stitches by yarn over, pull through 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, all the way until you get to the end. Remember, you can hold that last yarn, or the working yarn of the other color while you do the last few stitches, just to help you maintain your gauge. All right, now we're going to work on loops with our main color the same way. Now when you get to the end here, you're going to stop with 2 of those vertical bars remaining unworked. So you see those 2 pink bars there? Leave them unworked. So you now have 48 loops on your hook, and you're going to turn and work them off with the pink. So yarn over and pull through 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and so on until you get to the end. All right, now work with your color B and lift up your loops all the way to the end. You'll have 48 loops on your hook at this point. I'm going to show how I do the end here again. All right, and push your stuff to the other end of the hook, turn it around, and grab your color A and work all those loops off. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and so on until all of the loops have been worked off. Okay, now we're going to lift up loops using our color A. And once again, when we get to the end, we're going to leave 2 loops unworked. So see here, we're going to stop there. So we've got those 2 loops not worked, and we have the previous 2 down there. All right, push to the other end and work the loops off. Just keep in mind that you only turn your hook when it's full of stitches. If you've only got 1 loop on your hook, don't turn it. And we're going to lift up all the loops in the pink or color B. And work them all back off again. And you're going to keep doing this, working your main color loops on and missing the last 2 stitches. And then working them back off with the other color. And then when you get to your color B, you're just going to work off all of the loops that are available to you, right to the end. So just remember, while you're working this pattern, you're always doing the shaping or the missing 2 stitches at the end. It's always happening with your main color and never with your contrasting color. I'm about to finish my first wedge, and I've counted, I've got 5 sets of 2 stitches that I haven't worked. So now I'm going to work all of them. So I've worked to the end of this row I'm on, then I'm just going to go down to the next row, bring up a loop, insert my hook the way I have been this whole time in the end, then go to the next 2 that I missed, and the next 2 I missed, the next 2 that I missed, and those, yeah, the final 2 that were missed. So now I should have 50 loops on my hook again. Turn and work them off like you have been. Yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2, through 2, through 2, through 2, and so on. And like every row where we're lifting up with the contrasting color, you just work all of them. So we should have 50 loops on our hook again before turning. Okay, and just finish up these stitches here, and we've got one wedge finished. This is what it should look like. Now you can see it's nice and stretchy in both directions. And there's the other side. This is the main color side. And here's what that last row looks like. So I've got 7 rows, including that last one where I picked them all up. Or 7 double rows, I should say. All right, so to keep going, we're gonna get our main color back on. Remember, we're doing our shaping with the main color. So I'm going to lift up loops using the Tunisian simple stitch all the way to the end here, but missing the last 2 vertical bars. And then work them all off. And once again, we're going to repeat our contrasting color, just lift up loops all the way across. And we're back on our main color. You're going to stop 2 stitches from the end, work them off as usual. Basically just do what you did in the first wedge. Here we are in the next one. Here now I'm skipping 3 groups of 2. And work them all off and do your contrast color row. And we're doing another short row here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Work it off and then lift up loops with your contrasting color before going back to your main color for more shaping. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not quite enough. We need 1 more row. Now this is the row where we pick up all those stitches that we missed. So we work all the way to the end, and then we go down a row and pick up the 2 there, and then down a row. And just keep doing that until we've gotten all of our stitches back. All right, we should have 50 stitches on our hook now. If it's your first time making this hat, I recommend counting regularly. Just gonna work these loops off, and now we have 2 wedges. So this is the, yeah, that's how you can see them. Just look for the long row there. And so in the voiceover, I wasn't paying attention. I think it's 13 rows at this point. So you keep going like that, and then you can see we'd fold up the brim. If it's too long for you, you can just fold the brim up farther. So let's measure this now. We've got 2 wedges coming out to about 5.5 inches, keeping in mind that the first double row you did, you're not really repeating that row, so better to measure from here. And we're at like 5 1/4. inches. So keep this in mind while you're making your hat. And yeah, so it'll be a multiple of 5.5 or 5 1/4, and then add that extra bit on the end. So here we are with my finished hat. You see how the short rows up there. I think I did 6 wedges. Let's measure this. So about 18 1/4 maybe. Now remember that this fabric is quite stretchy. Oh, and there's my first wedge. It's about 3 inches. Looks like I did add an extra wedge. If you only want to add a couple more inches, you don't have to do an entire wedge. Just remember that your last set of double rows has to be a full row for this to work. So you could do like 2 more double rows and then a full row just to get it to the size you want more precisely. All right, we're gonna seam it up. I've just grabbed a regular crochet hook here. It's still 6 millimeters, but if you don't have it, just keep using your double-ended hook. The reason I had to do a voiceover for this video is because my double-ended hook kept hitting my camera stand, and it was really annoying. Okay, so we've got our hat folded together here like this. I'm going to start with the main color, because it's the one that's got the active loop. And I'm going to do slip stitches along, but I'm going to insert my hook the way I have been this entire time. And the reason we do this is because this last row is actually kind of gapey and almost lacy, and it doesn't match the rest of the hat. So inserting the hook the way you normally are, you're going to go ahead and do slip stitches all the way across. And inserting, again, the hook the way you have been the entire time, just to keep it all even. Now you're going to cut your end for weaving, but cut it longer than you normally would, because you're also going to use this to sort of draw string up the tiny hole at the top. So I think I did about 8 inches here, whatever is comfortable for you. Okay, now we're going to fold the hat together with the contrasting color on the outside, so in this case the pink, and we are going to seam up the hat. We're going to use slip stitches and working into both sides. So because both of these edges are the main color, we want that to be on the other side of the hat. You see the V's there? We're going to be working into those, and we've got V's on this side. We want the purple on the inside, so we're going to go on the outside of the front side and the back side of the back side. Okay, grab our yarn here and slip stitch. Again, that's you want to go the outside and the back there, and slip stitch. I'm going to do this all the way up. Now, sometimes when I make this hat, I get up here and I don't have the same number of stitches. So when you get to about 6 to 8 stitches from the end, it's time to start counting to see if they match up. I believe I was lucky enough that they do. Yeah, here I am counting. Yeah, I've got 6 left. And I'm going to show you what you can do if it's not the same. So if you have too many on the front side, this is how you do it before going into 1 on the other side. And then you just do your slip stitch. Now, if the problem's the opposite way, you would go under 1 on this side and then under 2 like this and pull your loop through. Now, if you have more than 1 stitch difference, you might want to rip back a little bit so you have more room, because you don't want to stack those decreases right next to each other. Yeah, so yeah, I'm showing is like you might want to put it farther back if there's more than 1. But at any rate, once you have that sorted out, continue your slip stitching until you've made it to the top. All right, and again, we're going to leave a longish tail because we are going to be using this to draw string as well. And just tie that off. All righty. So it's time to just finish up. We're going to weave in our ends and things, but first we got to close up this hole at the top of the hat. So I'm going to pull the purple through because we have the pink side on the outside here. I thread my needle, and now you're going to look for, excuse me, we're going to look for loops that are along the top. So you see this pink loops that go along at a sort of even interval there. We're going to use those. Because we're sewing with our pink yarn. And we're just sort of doing a kind of a basting stitch, kind of, all the way around. Okay, I'm going to go on this last one here and give it a tug. Oh, I missed one. Now we're going to give it a tug. You see it sort of makes a little star at the top. We're going to go under a couple more just to get it nice and round. Okay. Now we want to do a knot so that drawstring doesn't come out. So I'm going to go under 2 bars of the sort of flower now and do my knot here. Do it again. Now it's time to weave in the end. So just want to bring your attention to how the stitches look on the side. Oh, apparently I'm going to get my yarn down a little farther first. Okay, here we go. So you can see that there are, I'm gonna go on this side. There are little, oh, I'm going down some more. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So we have these sort of 2 bars. You see them there, and they go all the way across. We're gonna go under those. Try to do it as neatly, but you don't need to be like perfectly under every strand, especially with yarn that's kind of splitty like this. Now make sure that you're not pulling too tight on your hat. And we're going to weave back the other way. First we're going to hop over the bar that we went under last, so we don't just pull it out. Now on the way back we're going to try to push our needle through part of the yarn that we have already woven in. Now, if the yarn you're using isn't too slippery, you could probably stop there. This yarn, however, is extremely slippery, so I'm going to just follow the stitches over to the next row and basically do the same thing. So I've gone in 3 directions. Just going to cut my yarn there. And I don't know if I do it here. Yes, I do. Okay, give it a little tug to sort of suck that little end underneath, and there, you can't even see it. Yeah, it's just the nature of the fabric. It pulls where you've woven the end in, it pulls it right in. You can't see it anymore. So we're going on the other side. We're flipping inside out, and so you see we have the pink star on this side, which kind of looks a little weird if you're going to wear this on the outside. So we're going to use one of our tails here, the long one, to do the same thing on this side. So you want to pick a purple loop that you can spot all the way around and do the same thing you did as on the pink side. So I've chosen this one. And see, we pull that closed and we get a purple star at the top, which looks better on this side. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to tie a knot. And then weave in the end. So if we look on this side, we want to get away from the seam, which I think we are. Just gonna go down a little farther to where the fabric is more even, like there's less shaping around. And you can see we have those same sort of walkie leg things, but they're on the opposite side on this one. So I'm just gonna weave my way down to them. Go down about an inch, inch and a half, maybe 2 inches. Oh, I'm really going for it here. Make extra sure you're not pulling your end weaving too tightly. It will misshape your hat. So I'm working my way up. I'm trying to stab my needle through part of the yarn that I've woven in already. And once again, if you're using yarn that's not quite as slippery as this, you could probably stop there. So trying to follow the pattern so I don't have a weird sort of purple line just anywhere. I am making my way to the next row and doing the same thing. And that's good enough. Give it a little bit of a stretch. Now when I pull it there, when I cut it so that I can stretch it again and pull that little end in, I'm just gonna weave in the other 2 ends. That's all. They don't need to do anything other than be woven in. And here is our hat. Now, it's hard to show this kind of hat on a flat surface, but there you go. And I have no idea what I was talking about originally. A very stretchy hat, and you can wear it either way you want. Okay. Now there is a visible seam. I don't know if you see it so far. It's easier to see on the pink side, I think. And here, I'll put it in the center. When I wear this hat, I put this at the back, but you know, it's not super noticeable. And so you do you, I guess. Well, I hope you enjoyed making this hat with me and that you enjoy making this pattern. This was one of my first designs ever, and good luck finding a double-ended hook, I guess. Thanks for watching.